All right, the title of this story is A Gripping Tale. Here we go. Boring, bellowed Garfield as he and Odie watched the fish in John's aquarium one damp and dreary afternoon. Back and forth, back and forth. Fish are so boring they actually make dogs look interesting. Odie merely yawned. And these fish are so scrawny, they're not even worth eating, added Garfield. I want to see something monstrous, some monstrous marine life. I want to sail 20,000 leagues under the sea like Captain Nemo and tangle with sharks and whales and killer octopuses. I want some excitement. Of course, I'd settle for a snack. And just then John walked into the room. And there's my meal ticket now, remarked Garfield. Guess what I've got, said John, obviously hiding something behind his back. Terminal geekitis, replied Garfield. Donuts, announced John proudly, displaying the bag of goodies. Just a little something to brighten the day. Now be sure to share them. Garfield quickly grabbed the bag. I'll share them all right, he said. I'll take the donuts, and Odie can have the holes. With that, the furry pastry snatcher bolted out the door with Odie howling and growling in hot pursuit. Come back here, called John half-heartedly. Oh well, pets will be pets. Meanwhile, the chase was on across the soggy yard, around the flooded bird bath, through the muddy flower bed, until at last Odie grabbed Garfield's tail, bringing the fat cat to a screeching halt. Unfortunately, that sent the bag of donuts flying across the street, where it crash-landed and skidded toward an open storm sewer. My donuts, wailed Garfield. I've got to save them. Let go of me, you doofus dog. The bag was now teetering precariously on the edge of the sewer. Garfield dashed to the rescue, making a desperate lunge to snare the bag, but alas, it was too late. The donuts toppled into the watery grave. Garfield's heart sank, as did his blood sugar. Perfectly good donuts down the drain, he moaned as he peered into the mouth of the sewer. This really stinks. Odie frowned and nodded in agreement. No, I mean, this really stinks, said Garfield, grimacing. This sewer smells almost as bad as your breath. Grrr, snarled Odie. Garfield started to get up when he heard the rushing underground sewer water die down to a trickle. Curious, he held his nose and leaned over and took a closer look. Then, without warning, the vile sewer spit out a stream of inky slosh, splattering Garfield with nasty blotches. Blech, gross, cried Garfield, cringing as he inspected his stained fur. I look like a slimy leopard. Odie looked on in amazement and also with amusement. What are you laughing at, hyena face? Hissed Garfield. This is all your fault. Garfield reached out and grabbed Odie by the tongue, drawing him closer. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if I made you fetch those drowned donuts? Asked Garfield menacingly. Well, what's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Then suddenly, up from the murky abyss of the sewer shot a long, sucker-covered tentacle that coiled around Odie's chest. Yah! Yelled Odie, furiously pawing at the grotesque tentacle that was trying to pull him toward the sewer. Garfield, still clutching Odie's tongue, instinctively tugged back. Don't worry, buddy. I got you, yelled Garfield as Odie was being stretched to the breaking point. But the gruesome game of tug of war ended abruptly when Odie's slobbery tongue slipped through Garfield's paws, and Odie was dragged yipping and screaming down into the sewer. Doggone, mumbled Garfield, shaking his head in disbelief as he stared at the empty sewer. Now what do I do? Garfield paced frantically for a moment, then stopped and took a deep breath. Oh well, I guess a cat's gotta do what a cat's gotta do. The tubby tabby sucked in his stomach and squeezed himself into the mouth of the sewer. He slid down its stony throat and plopped into its wet gut. Yeah, neck deep in water and awash in darkness, Garfield struggled to make out his surroundings. I'm beginning to see, he said, his eyes gradually adjusting to the dark. I'm beginning to see I'm in a heap of trouble. Where's Jacques Cousteau when you need him anyway? As Garfield scanned the watery tunnel, he could see scattered rays of light slicing through the darkness from the sewer gratings above the street, creating eerie images along the wall. Garfield was now shivering in the chilly air. Summoning up his courage, he called out to his missing friend, "Odie! Odie, can you hear me?" A faint bark echoed in the distance. "Row!" "Hang on," shouted Garfield. "I'm coming to save you." Then he thought, "I just wish I knew how." But before Garfield could do anything, he felt something wrap around his waist and jerk him through the water until he was eyeball to enormous eyeball with a horrifying giant octopus. "Boy, I bet you don't have any trouble reading the last line on an eye chart," said Garfield, forcing a smile. Did I say I wanted to tangle with an octopus? I meant a platypus." The octopus responded by hoisting Garfield and Odie into the air and conking their heads together. Gonk! "Well, this is a fine mess you've gotten us into, Odie," said Garfield, his teeth jarring as the octopus continued to bank them together like cymbals. Gong, gong, gong. Suddenly, the octopus yanked the pets close to its lethal mouth. "Uh-oh, I sense an unhappy ending," said Garfield. "This thing's armed and dangerous." Garfield and Odie immediately intensified their efforts to escape, wriggling and writhing, clawing and biting. But the more they struggled, the tighter the tentacles squeezed and the more its suckers latched on. "We're running out of time and air," gasped Garfield, beginning to turn blue. "I've got to do something, and fast," he thought. And then a wild idea flashed through his mind. It's crazy, but who knows? It always works on John and Odie. Maybe desperate times call for silly measures. And I'm definitely scared silly. So instead of fighting the tentacle, Garfield tickled it. The octopus instantly twitched. "Quick, Odie, lend me a paw," ordered Garfield. "If you can't beat him, tickle him." Together, Garfield and Odie tickled the octopus unmercifully. Moments later, the octopus was flailing its tentacles and giggling like a maniac. "It's flipped its lid," exclaimed Garfield. "Keep tickling." Still, in the octopus's crazed clutches, Garfield and Odie were whipped through the air, then splashed into the water. With one final lurch, the octopus thrust the pets back up through the sewer hole and deposited them on the street. The two twitching tentacles disappeared amid a chorus of chortles and chuckles. "We did it, Odie, old pal, old buddy," gushed Garfield. "We're safe, we're sound, we're late for dinner." Delighted that things were back to normal, Odie tried to embrace his friend. "Please, no hugs," said Garfield. Just then, John hollered out the window, "Garfield, Odie, come quick. I just saw on TV that an octopus escaped from the aquarium and is on the loose in the sewer system. It's a very serious situation." "No kidding," said Garfield with a smile. "You might even call this a ticklish situation." The end. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, I'm Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield comics and books. Who's your family of readers? That's the question we want every Indiana child to be able to answer. Help the children you know to read, enjoy reading, and keep their skills sharp. Be a part of a child's Who's Your Family of Readers and set time aside every day to read with a child. No matter who you are, you can help a child read and stay on the path of reading success. For more information, visit www.doe.in.gov.